Back tonight on In Focus, here on Newzroom Afrika, channel 405. French President Emmanuel Macron is expected to announce the withdrawal of French troops from Mali and their redeployment elsewhere in the Sahel. This follows a breakdown in ties with the country's military regime. For more on this, I'm joined now by Africa analyst Dr Charles Sinkala to get some analysis. Dr Sinkala, good evening and thank you very much for your time. It sounds to me France might be, well, ready to pull out temporarily out of Mali, but not necessarily ready to pull out of the Sahel completely.
Yes, good. It is something which was anticipated. You must remember very well that there's a conflict between the Russian Wagner group and France, in that region, especially Mali, where they would like to have a share of the military budget. The military budget in Mali alone is now estimated at $473 million, and if you combine the 5 countries where French government has been involved in terms of military protection and security, it's over $3.2 billion. So it's a very lucrative business, and once a business is very lucrative, you invite competition. And these coup d'etats, which has been in Western Sahel, their region, especially in Mali, has been based on the competition of who takes a big share of that lucrative business in terms of the military budget. So the Russian Wagner and the France, they've been fighting, and now it is evident that the interim military government or military command by the junta in Mali has now decided to dump the French government, whom they have accused over the years of creating terrorism and trying to pretend to fight it at the same time. They have decided now to involve the Russian Wagner group, to provide them the military needs that they need.
Yeah, it's a strategic shift. If I hear you clearly, that you're saying they're just moving out of that place to say, well, if we can't operate in Mali, we'll go and operate elsewhere in the Sahel strategically. What threat does that bring to the security, firstly, of the region, but of Mali in particular?
Yes, of course, it will continue to bring security stability in the region. Them withdrawing is not necessarily meaning that they will leave completely. They will try to work with their contacts who are within the Malian government, or not necessarily those who are now with the terrorist or extremist activities. You remember, French government has been there for very many years. One also wonders what have they achieved over the period, and why have they been there? Spending a budget of more than 2,500 militants whom they have deployed over the period of more than 10 years, one would just wonder what is the benefit to the French government, and what successes can they point at, because that region, especially in Mali, it has been infested with coup d'etats.
Yeah. We see France as well as other Western nations here singing from one hymn book as far as they are complaining that the junta has missed deadlines to restore civilian rule, and then in comes Russia. Are we likely to see a similar situation here as what we are dealing with currently in the Ukraine?
Look, when the coup d'etat happened in 2020, the French government were very silent. Because they wanted those leaders to be deciding them and give them that military tender. But now they've seen themselves that they are on the other side of the fence. Hence, they've been condemning that they want a civilian government. It is quite shocking how the French government has been openly involved in Mali, and subsequent to the visits by the French President Emmanuel Macron, to visit them and instruct them that they must get away with the Wagner group because they are providing insecurity. And the French Foreign Affairs Minister, was openly saying that the Russian Wagner group has been the one which has been funding the terrorist organization. So they've been going back and forth by each other simply because of that lucrative business. It is, yes, sad for them to lose that tender of $473 million, which is equivalent to 7.5 million rands here in South Africa. They will throw in tantrums before they could leave.
The EU will, I suppose, continue to maintain relations because the Sahel is quite important, I suppose, to that body.
Yes, of course, but if we look at the Sahel region, starting from Chad, where the president was killed in the line of defense, where the French government was involved, to provide peace and security. Mauritania, as well as Niger and, southern Sahel, has been infested in instabilities, simply because of the military contractors these governments they hire. It is quite difficult to understand why the Malian government, the Burkina Faso government, and as well as Chad, Niger, and Mauritania, they seek to contract these military contractors who actually, at the same time, try to create confusion in the country and pretend to be bringing in solution. Why do they not? One wonders why they do not either contract the South African government or the Zambian government or the Nigerian government, to keep it into Africa in order to fight the terrorist movements that has been mushrooming in West Africa.
Dr. Sinkala, appreciate your time and thank you very much for your analysis tonight. Dr. Charles Sinkala, there, Africa analyst, helping us in that conversation. We'll continue.